Well, welcome to the United Debate Show at the end of what we can safely say was a mixed week for Manchester United, beginning with a victory against Inter Milan and progress to the quarter-finals of the Champions League, and ending, of course, with the shock defeat, really, 4-1 at home to Liverpool. Plenty to discuss, of course, in the light of those two results. And with me to discuss them are Manchester United journalist David Meek and former United goalkeeper Alex Stepney. Well, gents, it was a shock that United lost, but a shock that it was so heavy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think anybody had anticipated that measure of defeat, because traditionally a lot of the games are 0-0s and 1-1s or 1-0s and that kind of thing. So it was a shock to the system. But these things happen, and the manager, in a way, had been predicting it, hadn't he? Because it's not long since he said, we will drop points between now and the end of the season. Other clubs will as well. So in that sense, I think the measure of it would have dismayed him, but I think he's prepared to sort of fight back from a defeat.
What do you think went wrong in particular at the weekend?
Well, I've got to say that bad day at the office defensively, really. I mean, 2 goals should have been headed. You don't let the ball bounce. And obviously, I mean, Edwin van der Sar never really had a shot to save apart from picking the ball out the back of the net, you know, and tries his goal. But, you know, let's get downhearted. I mean, 2 months ago at the end of the season, 4 points in front, game in hand, Carling Cup winners, semi-final of the FA Cup, quarter-finals of the Champions League. I think every United supporter would have put their arm to be in that position. So that's where we are. One of those games, it happens, and you know, I feel sorry for Fulham next week, actually, because of what's probably going on this week in training.
One thing about Saturday was perhaps the psychological effect. I mean, do you think there'll be one?
Well, yes, but not maybe the way that you were hinting at. I think the psychological effect would be to come out to put the records straight and come out fighting, and the manager has always insisted that it's not the defeat that counts, it's the response to a setback. And in football, there'll always be setbacks. However good you are, however many trophies you win, along the way there will be setbacks and defeats, disappointments, poor performances, and it's how you react to those that really is the measure of whether a team goes on to actually win things. And so I think that's the message that Alex Ferguson will be hammering home to the players. You know, it all counts how we react to this.
Yeah, what would have worried me if it had been a team that was down the bottom of the league that beat us at home 4-1.
Aye.
Not Liverpool. One of the main contenders for the title who've had a great. You know, you've got to say they've been up the top of the league most of the season. We've overtaken them. I mean, we've been playing catch up all season. Done that with tremendous skill, and the manager's used his squad brilliantly, but like I said, we're still 4 points in front with a game in hand. So I don't think there's a problem unless we start a run of losing games.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool played well. Liverpool are a good side. They'd beat Real Madrid in midweek. There are fine dividing lines on games like that, and I think, I mean, there were so many turning points, if turning points be the right word, but the little time that United were ahead and Liverpool was suddenly back in it must have given them belief, mustn't it?
Oh, yeah, and they were on a roll after hammering Real Madrid, and they're a good team. I think, Alex, it's an important point that there's no disgrace to lose to a good side. The disgrace part is if you go down to the bottom of the league.
Yeah, the sad thing about it, David, is that you're one up. Nothing in the game. Both teams really. I mean, United were playing well offensively, and that terrible mistake by Vidic gets the team back in the into the game. You've got to say Torres put it away very well, and then that gives them belief. If that goal hadn't gone in, who knows what the score would have been. But that's what's happened, and you've got to accept that. You know, you've got to accept that. You know, we weren't playing well. I've never seen United's defence give the ball away so much, not attack the ball so much. So we've got to say, well, okay, but that will be put right in training this week.
A few eyebrows were raised when, in one of Alex Ferguson's quotes, he said that we were the better team. And when you look at the scoreline, you know that you can understand why eyebrows were raised a little bit. But I'm sure what he's thinking of is the point that you've just made. The United were playing okay, and you can't judge a team by a couple of mistakes. I mean, if they're making mistakes every week, you can. But it was so out of character for Vidic. I mean, he's in the running for Player of the Year, isn't it? And two howlers. But the overall performance, and you made the point that their goalkeeper didn't have a decent save to...
No, I mean, it was just one of those things, wasn't it? How can you say, you know, you win it, like I said, 1-1-0, but mistakes like that can cost you games dearly, and it did cost us dearly. But we never let in 4 goals. I mean, Edwin van der Sar's gone, 14 games without conceding a goal? And now all of a sudden there's 4 goals gone in against him. And of course, I suppose questions will be asked by the press, but I wouldn't worry.
No, I think OK, he was beaten, but I didn't think Liverpool looked full of goals. It sounds a bit crazy, really, but we gave them the goals.
Yeah, we gave
Did you expect a red card when Vidic pulled Gerrard down?
Yes, because he'd already had a yellow card anyway, so he's only going to miss 1 game.
Yeah. I believe that's gone to 2, hasn't it? Because he's already had a red card this season.
I think you're right. I think that's the way it works. Yeah,
you get another. So it's
actually,
2, but it's not 3.
Is it not?
No, it's not 3. But I mean, if you look at our situation over the last few weeks on that run, when Vidic was out, Rio was out, Johnny Evans came in, John O'Shea's come in. You know, I mean, we're adequate in that department anyway.
It was an interesting selection as well. There's a lot of sort of energy and youth that he went for on Saturday, didn't he?
Yeah.
Were you surprised by that selection?
Well, I thought Darren Fletcher might have had a game because he's the sort of player that seems to thrive on big match atmosphere. Anderson not so much, because he's not been here long enough really to establish that kind of reputation. So I was a bit surprised that he got in ahead of Fletcher.
I wasn't surprised about Tevez playing though.
Oh no,
because the simple reason Tevez scored early on this season. He scored against Liverpool before. Last season I think. So that's one of the manager's sort of things he goes for. You know, if a player scores against a team, he'll bring that player back in because he thinks it's an ongoing thing. And
he hadn't played against Inter, so he was fresh, and that's the other thing that the manager's been juggling with, to keep bringing new legs in, that kind of thing. So that was perfectly logical. But
and of course, a lot has been made of the comments that Wayne Rooney had made about, you know, always supporting Everton and therefore having a dislike of Liverpool, and then because they were made and Liverpool then beat United, of course, there's more significance attached to them afterwards, aren't they? I mean, that often happens, isn't it, in the build-up to what is effectively a big North-West derby?
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, Wayne's young, and I wish he hadn't talked about hating quite the same. The manager tried to diffuse that at his press conference after he'd said it, I think.
Because, I mean, every time...
So it's not war.
That's right. But every time United play Liverpool now and Wayne Rooney's in the squad, I mean, that's going to come up, isn't it? So...
But I'll give full marks to the Liverpool fans, though. When United had gone ahead and they were chanting Rafa's cracking up, and then when Liverpool went ahead, the Liverpool fans, with that sort of ironic Rafa's cracking up sort of chant, I give them full marks for that. They came back well.
He always attaches great significance to the game, doesn't he, Charlotte? You mentioned his press conference on Friday. I mean, I think he sees it as the biggest game of the season, doesn't he, in many respects? Yeah,
well, Liverpool were the team that presented themselves 22 years ago when he first came. They were dominating the scene, and that quote about his first objective was to knock Liverpool off their perch. So they've always been sort of there as the, I mustn't use enemy after criticising Wayne, but as the rivals. And they look as if they're going to be the main rivals this season after that, because they're bound to play with a lot more confidence now, particularly after all the criticism that they've had.
I suppose, really, that, you know, they won games and, I mean, they go to Middlesbrough and get beat 2-0. You know, that seems to be Liverpool's season. I think they've got 13 points against the Big Four this season already. I mean, I think we've got 5.
I think Liverpool have lost less games than anybody else.
That's right.
You know, they've drawn too many.
They've drawn too many at home against you know, no disrespect to your Stokes, your Wigans and teams like that.
So who do we fancy being the main challengers then? Liverpool or Chelsea?
There's my question. Who do you fancy to be the main rivals?
I thought I'd get it in first. I don't know the answer.
I just feel that it's going to be the same as it's been all season. I mean, the fact is, we know Arsenal are too far back now. Obviously, Chelsea and Liverpool, after Saturday's game, will think, you know, well, Chelsea won 1-0 against City yesterday, that, you know, they're back in it, which they are, basically. But it's up to United to go every game now. I mean, the finishing line's getting closer and closer. I mean, there's only 9 games left for them, 10 for us. So, you know, that's what it's all about. Who can cross that line first? And I'm sure Sir Alex will put that to his team.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I was reading quotes attributed to Gus Hiddink yesterday saying, you know, the signs of maybe, you know, a bit of a wobble there and squeaky bum time, I even saw quoted. I mean, he's bound to pounce on something like that, though, isn't he?
Of course, yeah. And Rafa is exploiting it, isn't he? He's saying we've shown other teams how to beat United. You know, I presume he means getting at them and not letting them settle. So, yeah, it is an encouragement for the others, but as Alex says, if United keep on winning, it doesn't really matter whether it's Chelsea or Liverpool finish second.
That finishing line is coming closer and closer.
I noticed one of the bookmakers said, we'll take them down to 6-1 on now to win the title, which, I mean, they're not normally wrong about those things, are they?
No, is that what it is?
Something like that, 6-1 on for the title, despite what happened at the weekend. I mean, as you say, when the games get fewer and the finishing line gets closer, it's a big turnaround despite what happened, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we saw that last year with Chelsea coming back at United, and it obviously went to the last game of the season, but I think mainly it was, you know, United's title to win anyway.
If we can be detached a little bit, what a thrilling end to the season it's been for any neutral. Good for football. That's a positive.
I don't think Sir Alex would be thinking that way.
No.
I'll leave you with that thought during the commercial break. We've got to stop just for the moment, but do join us a couple of minutes for part 2 of the United Debate Show. Welcome back to part 2 of the United Debate Show. My guest this week, former Manchester United goalkeeper Alex Stepney and Manchester United journalist David Meek. Before the break, gents, we were talking about, from a neutral standpoint, that the title race needed that defeat. Are you going to put that to Sir Alex next time?
I'm certainly not, no.
It's true, though. I mean, for a lot of people across the country who are football fans would have thought that the title race was long since over had United won on Saturday. I mean, it has made it an interesting last 7-8 weeks of the season, hasn't it?
What makes it such a shock is that United fans, we were thinking in terms of 10 points in front with a game in hand. That's game, set and match, isn't it, really? But suddenly from 10, it comes to 4, which is a heck of a gap. So that's been the psychological shock of it.
Well, the thing is as well, you know, Chelsea and Liverpool, I think if they've got to win every game. They know they've got to win every game. They cannot afford to drop any points. And, you know, you've got to be realistic about it. There's no easy games in the Premiership.
No, well, let's look at next weekend. I mean, next weekend, United are at Fulham, who in the space of 3 or 4 weeks they've defeated very easily, home in the League, away in the FA Cup. Liverpool are playing the following day at home to Aston Villa. All right, they've not gone through a great few weeks. And Chelsea are at Spurs, who traditionally have become almost their big rivals in terms of a derby almost. I know Fulham is, but it's become that way. So another weekend where it can all change again.
Yeah, and you could see that as a draw, couldn't you? Chelsea-Tottenham, I would have thought. And that's an important result for... If it works out that way for Manchester United. I
mean, the thing with us is David, is that, you know, we have Villa at home, we've got Arsenal at home, and we've got Man City at home. You know, they're not easy games.
No.
But in all respect, you know, United being beaten by Liverpool last weekend will basically be saying to themselves, well, you know, I'm glad it happened against Liverpool. because that's what it's about.
Well, people will look at I'm sure Chelsea will look at the fixtures United have left and see where they're going. Where could they possibly lose 2 games? I mean, you know, that'll be the exercise they're going through while they're trying to pick off wins. I mean, you know, obviously football's not predictable, but United's games that will look the hardest are at Old Trafford, as Alex makes the point.
And the thing is, Ali, you know, we're saying that, I say that, but Sir Alex won't be saying that.
No.
All he's interested in is the Fulham game next Saturday.
Of course.
He's not even looking to the games that we've got to play at home. You win your next game. That's what we're concentrating on. And when we've done that, we go to the next game.
I mean, it's interesting, looking back on the Inter Milan game, I think, Sir Alex, you know, said that United weren't at their best during that game. I mean, I suppose when you get to this type of the season and you see how many games those players have played and the challenges that have been put before them, it's not impossible for levels to drop even momentarily at this stage of a season.
Well, we were in Milan, weren't we? I mean, they weren't a good team in Milan, were they?
No.
You know, I mean, once we got that early goal, you know, you could see the fact that the players said, well, we haven't really got a lot to worry about here. And then getting the second goal straight after half-time, you know, we've got nothing to worry about. And they strolled through the game, basically, at the end of it.
What astonished me then and still does is how Inter are dominating the Scudetto. 7 points in front.
Absolutely.
I've not checked this weekend, but so what does that make the rest of the Italian league? Maybe explain.
Well, all the English teams defeated the Italian ones, didn't they?
That's right.
And find their way into the last 4 last 8 of the Champions League, don't they? I mean, we sometimes get blasé about the strength of the English Premier League, don't we? But then we see the results that happened last year. 3 of the last 4 in the Champions League from England.
Exactly.
This year, 4 of the last 8. They're statistics that back up the fact that this is probably the strongest league in Europe, isn't it?
And of course, next Friday is a draw for the Champions League before the big games.
Inevitable that United meet an English team, you feel?
Well, I don't think any of the English teams want to meet another English team, to be honest. Unless you probably want to meet in the final, but I think it's going to happen somewhere along the way. It did last year. So, I mean, Chelsea and Liverpool, they played each other so many times recently in the Champions League. We've never played Liverpool. In that situation.
I think it's odds on. I think that we'll get an English team in the next, because it would be too much to hope for that Chelsea play Liverpool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if that was to be the case, I mean, how unpredictable is that going to be? You know, any English team actually over 2 legs. I mean, you know, that you just can't predict the outcome of those things. And I suspect of all the challenges left, I mean, and not that the league is a foregone conclusion, the Champions League is the most unpredictable of the lot, isn't it, for United?
Yeah, I think it probably is. Yeah, because all the teams who are left in are good teams. There's no pushovers.
I mean,
there's Villarreal, isn't there? They're still in, aren't they? I mean,
2 0-0 draws. I mean, in fact, is it not 4 or even 6 0-0 draws when United have met Villarreal?
But when you get to that situation, you know, the quarter-finals, even the semi-finals, that's when class will show its, you know, show its place. Yeah.
Bayern Munich warmed up with an extraordinary win over Sporting Lisbon. They look strong and powerful, but I guess in the last 8 you expect those candidates.
Can you imagine next Saturday morning if in the press if it's United against Liverpool before Fulham play Manchester United and then Liverpool play Aston Villa?
And of course they do the draw for the semi at the same time, so it could be could be United v Liverpool take on Chelsea or Arsenal or some combination of that, couldn't it?
Then, won't we?
I mean, I would be very surprised if the headlines aren't dominated on Saturday with the Champions League draw the previous day.
Yes,
and probably rightly so.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but nothing that Manchester United are going to worry about, because they've been there, done it. You know, in this situation, I mean, they're still in the chance of winning 5 trophies still. Yeah, that's what it's about.
It's a big ask.
Well, it is a big ask.
I thought it was a big ask before, and it's even more so now.
Well, they've shown themselves. I mean, at the end of the day,
vulnerable.
they're in the semi-final of the FA Cup. I know it's against Everton, but it's a one-off game. You know. Obviously, we don't know what's happening with the draw next Friday, but and they're still in a great chance of winning the Premiership, and that's what it's all about.
Going back to the league and that challenge at Fulham, I mean, I mentioned those 2 comfortable wins, really, for United against Fulham. I suppose United get in front, and you imagine that would be the end of the contest, but Fulham clearly have to perform better, you would imagine, than they would do in the last 2 games.
Yeah, but I think the combination of Fulham being one of the weaker teams in the Premier, plus the fact that United are coming back off the ropes after the disappointment against Liverpool, I think we put the 2 things together, and I can only see one outcome, and that's a win, not even a scrubby draw or anything. I think United.
But Fulham again, they had a very good win at Bolton, weekend. They'll be thinking, and they're not badly placed now in the league.
No, it's not impossible for them to qualify for Europe. No. So they've got incentive.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was probably not being very fair when I said one of the weaker teams. It's just weaker in the sense when they've played United, but they've got quite a respectable position.
They've got a very good home record too.
They have, yeah.
I think they've only lost once at home in the league. I'm talking about, which is that tight little ground and the small capacity, and it's the classic. I hate the phrase banana skin, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They've got that momentum about them. Fulham, they're not fighting on any other front now, are they?
No. I think how United played against them in the cup. They'll obviously be more concerned. But Roy Hodgson's done a great job there this season. How he survived last year, I'll never know, but he did, and he's stamped his mark up with the team, and I don't think they're going to go down this year.
No, he's made his mark, hasn't he, and built on it. He's used his experience, and he's done a good job there.
Knowing Sir Alex, after a defeat like that, how does he react in a training week? How does he react at Carrington and so on? What does he do?
Well, I suppose initially he gives them a blast, but I don't think that will go on all week. I think it's a matter of building them up again and business as usual. Because they've got a very good record. I wish I had the stats to hand, but when they've had a major blow, the performance in the next game has invariably been good. So he won't be doing anything too startling. It'll be a matter of encouraging them, analysing, and convincing them that, as Alex said earlier in the programme, it was a bad day at the office, and we don't have 2 of those in a row.
He got enough sort of people around him at every level for looking after players, seeing how they react, psychologically, everything.
Yeah.
And like you said, they'll just go about doing exactly the same as what they've normally been doing, and picking the team. And he'll be looking at how the players are reacting in training.
Yeah.
That's how he defines his team next year.
And that'll influence the next team he picks.
That's right.
Gents, next team he picks will be against Fulham. You've kind of already suggested you think it'll be a victory. Alex, the same?
Yes, I do, yeah.
OK. Thanks, gents. Thanks as ever for your time. That's it this week for the United Debate Show. Join us same time next week. Until then, from all of us, it's goodbye.